The Denver Broncos just dodged a major bullet by not pulling off a trade at the NFL trade deadline. We get more great news for a playoff berth this year, and there are no more rookies left on this team. We're breaking all that down and way more in this video before we beat the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan, and if you think the Broncos are going to win this game against the Chiefs, hit that like button, and if you don't, get on out of here because it's gonna happen. So let's dive in. So there's a lot of speculation about what the Broncos were going to do at the trade deadline, and a lot of folks wanted us to go out and get a playmaker for Bo Nix, but we learned in the Russell Wilson trade debacle that set this team back hopefully just a few seasons, but at the time when he started tanking, it felt like, man, we will never be good again, right? We saw that if a team is willing to move off of a player, they probably know that player way better than your hope for that player is. And so the Broncos held pat. They didn't go out and get a player as many were expecting them to do. Although Sean Payton hinted that there were teams asking for a second-round player. So the player Sean had thought about pulling the trigger on if he was going to, the team wanted a second-round pick. We never heard who that was. Was that Cooper Kupp? Was that one of the tight ends from either the Cleveland Browns, or was that the tight end from Jacksonville? Either way, a second-round pick for somebody else's garbage does not pan out. And so the other player that we had rumored a lot was Deontay Johnson. Now, he played and balled out of control for Pittsburgh. Then he went to the Carolina Panthers, and he wasn't happy there either. So he was traded in a very strange deal that didn't seem like a lot of picks to the Baltimore Ravens. So you go from the Carolina Panthers to one of the best teams in football in the Baltimore Ravens. And even there, he is already creating drama and already seemingly unhappy. So if you watch that game last night against the Bengals, which we're going to talk about the implications of in just a second, but you just saw him drastically underperform, even though that was already his second game with the Baltimore Ravens. His first game was against us, and he didn't do much. You saw like a blown end of the first half as they were trying to get into field goal range. He gets tackled in the open field and didn't get out of bounds, and you just saw how angry Lamar Jackson was. You saw him wide open and trip on the turf. And now on Twitter, he is already complaining about the number of snaps that he got in that game. And so you're talking, this dude hasn't even been on this team for 10 days, and he is already creating drama in one of the best situations you could possibly land. And so that was a player that a lot of people in Broncos country were like, what? You could have gotten Deontay Johnson for that. And when you compare that to just the level of like love that is on this Denver Broncos team and is evident, and you see that from Courtland Sutton on down, like just this team believes in itself. It champions itself. It cheers itself. You saw that in our trip to New York when we did a frat boys time, and we were paintballing and riding horseback, and you just see this team chemistry is so close, and a team is more than the sum of its parts. And if you have the right leader and the right culture, you outplay all of the talent on your team, which is why losing Jerry Jeudy, even though he's a tremendous talent and probably a better route runner than any player on this team, we've actually gotten better without him. And so I just love the fact that we held pat. I just saw Cameron Parker tweeted this little video off of TikTok that just shows even all the boys right now. You got Zac Wilson, Jarret Stidham, and Bo Nix sitting in the basement playing some goofy game with their wives where the wives say weird facts that only a girl would know, and they try to see who can guess them. And it's like, I don't know. I wasn't that entertained by it, but I love the fact that when these guys aren't on the field together, they're hanging out together. And so the other thing was a lot of folks were calling for us to trade one of our backup quarterbacks. And you just look, and I couldn't agree more with what Cameron Parker said. Like, this is the type of room we want. And it's my belief, and I think it's backed up with evidence all over social media, that you have these rooms all over the team where they believe in each other, that our loss against Baltimore will not hold us back because we believe in each other and believe we haven't seen the ceiling for what this team is. We got to remember that if the season ended today, we would be in the playoffs when everyone said we weren't even going to win more than 5 games, and we aren't even halfway through, and we're making the playoffs. And I think last night we got a ton of help towards that end. As we saw the Baltimore Ravens just beat the Cincinnati Bengals, and that is going to make it very difficult for the Bengals to climb out of that hole because they still have tough games. They have to play the Steelers, they have to play the Chargers, and that's going to help us as well. Whoever wins that game, it helps us out. And so this is a huge boost to our playoff chances because the Cincinnati Bengals are nipping at our heels, and now we have a 2-game lead. We way more than have control of our destiny. You also look at more good news for the Indianapolis Colts, as you see Joe Flacco has been named the full-time starter there. They are not going back to Anthony Richardson. And if you take a look at how the Indianapolis Colts running game has gone since Flacco has been in, while their passing game has improved, it is one of the worst running rooms in the NFL because before they were scheming for Anthony Richardson, who could run, and Jonathan Taylor, and now you're just being like, hey, if it's just Jonathan Taylor, we got to lock down. And so I feel fantastic that the Colts and the Bengals will not catch us. And I was playing around with a couple different playoff predictors here. They are still saying the Broncos only have a 34% chance of making the playoffs on ESPN. Baffled by the fact that the Colts are rated higher than us for their chances of making the playoffs. I do not think the Colts are going to beat the Buffalo Bills this week. They just ruled out Pittman, who is the best wide receiver there, and you got an aged, decrepit Joe Flacco. So I think that's good. And I was playing around with a couple situations. If we just take care of business and win our home game against the Falcons and win our home game against the Colts, we beat the Raiders and we beat the Browns, we are in the playoffs. And none of those even sound that wild. And so as I was playing around here, there were a couple times where I'm like, I think we'll win this game. And this number of wins crept up to 11. And I think we shock folks even just this week as we play the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it is a perfect matchup for us. We saw that twice last year. I think we have their number. I break down more detail of why I think we're going to beat the Chiefs in my video tomorrow with a content creator from Kansas City. But other little quick aside here is there are a lot of folks who are claiming in the comments here that I am carrying water for Bo Nix and I'm cherry picking stats and I'm saying like he's great when they don't think he's great. And I truly am not trying to do that. Like obviously I want him to be good, but you're hearing so many different folks come out and give him his flowers that know more about football or that have forgotten more about football than I'll ever know, including the defensive coordinator from Kansas City saying they got themselves a good one. Sean Payton, a couple weeks ago in his press conference, is just up at the podium laughing, saying Bo Nix is going to be something special. And so you're just hearing that across the league that they have themselves a good one, and Bo Nix is a good one. And that's fantastic because he is no longer even a rookie. I don't know if you knew that, but Sean Payton in a recent interview talked about the fact that this far in, there are no more rookies on this team, that we are 9 games into the season at this point, and the rookie wall has come and gone, and this game is just going to continue to slow down. And so I'm already blown away with how Bo Nix has progressed this year. I feel like he's taken steps forward in every single game, and we're just going to see more and more pieces of that as the season progresses. And you're hearing him come out, and Bo Nix was kind of talking about just the fact that he is seeing the field better and that he and Troy Franklin are connecting very well in practice, and that they expect that the practice reps to start matching what is happening on the field. The game will slow down. It already is for Troy Franklin. It already is for Bo Nix. So that is why the sky is truly the limit. And the last fun thing to watch for Sunday is I think we are going to see a lot more Audric Estime. He had some fumble issues, but at this point, he is still averaging 6.3 yards a clip, and I think Sean Payton has punished him enough for his fumble issues. We need to win this turnover battle. He cannot drop the ball, but I envision him getting a lot of carries on Sunday and us truly running the ball as well as we did in our last win against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if we win against the Kansas City Chiefs, which we will, the playoffs aren't just a possibility. They are an inevitability, and that's something we can all believe in. Let me know in the comments, what is your final score prediction? Get it there so we have the receipts. I think the Denver Broncos win by at least a touchdown, and we will no longer be calling it Arrowhead. We'll be calling it Burrow Head or something like that. I'm not even leaving this one to chance, so I'm going to slam dunk this last one. Ah! That's not a good sign if it went in. I got it, right? You all saw it.